I have Tom Ford's Rose Prick. This is another Tom Ford fragrance I would put in that mediocre range. Like, it's not great, it's not bad, it's definitely not worth the money. This one is another $395 USD for 50 ml, which is it's absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, it opens up kind of like, I got Portrait of a Lady vibes opening up, kind of that patchouli rose. So there's so many fragrances like that, so I kind of got that. And it's not better than Portrait of a Lady. And I think that might be one reason why I always dismiss it. I'm just like, oh, it's another Portrait of a Lady fragrance that doesn't smell as good. It's it's better than a lot of them. It doesn't have that sweet synthetic saffron note that a lot of these fragrances have, but it's not as good. It's just, why buy this one when you have Portrait of a Lady? And it's better for sure, Portrait of a Lady. This one, it develops, it has an opening, a mid, and a dry down for me. The opening is the best part. I think you get a nice patchouli rose that it smells good. I would say it's more feminine than Portrait of a Lady. It's not as dark. You know, I do kind of get the pink vibes a little bit. Maybe pink, red, black colors come to mind. I don't know if that's marketing, me just looking at this sample, but it is more feminine to me than Portrait of a Lady. I would say this leans, in modern terms, it's like a feminine designer, but leaning more niche. So the mid to me becomes more designer like. Like, I don't know, a year, 2 or 3 years ago, there were so many designer roses. This kind of goes along with that trend on the mid. I think it dries down like a rosy kind of sweet tonka bean. The mid to the dry down, and then when it dries down on me, I kind of get like a slight powdery nuances, similar to like Celine fragrances. Think about some of those Celine fragrances if they had a synthetic rose added to them. I kind of get that, but not as good as any of the Celines. I don't think anyway. But it kind of gives me that vibe on the dry down, like Dan's Paris or Saint Germain or whatever from Celine. I kind of get those vibes, like the slight powdery tonka bean, patchouli rose on the dry down. On the mid, I feel like if you just added osmanthus to this and boosted up the synthetic aroma chemicals, you could say it's a Quinton Biche fragrance. You know, the patchouli in it kind of gives me those vibes. This does have synthetic aroma chemicals in it. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it has some ambroxan in it, if I had to say. There is some amber in there, probably amber woodiness with some ambroxan. It's not too crazy, but it's in there a decent amount. Out of the other Tom Ford Rose fragrances, what do you have? Rose de la Mafia, the Russian one that I think is discontinued, and the Chin one, or China, whatever it's called. I would say they're different. The Russian one was the most unique. It had like a heavy labdanum. At the time, I thought that was kind of interesting, but I didn't care for it. But a lot of times when that happens, when I find something like I don't like at all, but it's interesting, I come back to it. So I haven't smelled that one in a while. I remember the Chinese rose one from Tom Ford was my favorite, more feminine. But then I came back to it and I thought that one was heavily synthetic, kind of headache inducing. But I do think that one's like a good synthetic, maybe formal occasions, that one. And then the Rose de Amalfi one, when I came back to it, I kind of got that Celine dry down similar to this one, but even more so. So they're all decent. They're all decent. I just feel like there's better out there. And maybe because I'm kind of tired of synthetic rose at this point in my fragrance journey, that it's just kind of boring, and I wish they would just leave the rose out. Maybe that's why I kind of dislike these, but I don't know. Like I said, this one out of the 4 Tom Ford ones has that patchouli in it. So the opening, you get the rose patchouli combo. Then the mid, you get more of a designer like tonka bean sweetened aroma chemicals. And then the dry down, you get like a decent tonka bean, slight powdery with just a little bit of rose in there. Like, it's nice, the dry down, but it's not worth the money. I feel like that's an ongoing theme with a lot of these Tom Fords. Like, they're good, but they're just not worth the money. You know, maybe if these were priced at 150, 200, or if it was a designer prices, then they would be good for the money. Decent, you know, but nobody wants to pay these prices when there's better out there. You know, there's more natural, better smelling fragrances. And regardless of that, I put this at like above average. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just rosy patchouli, decent on the opening, not overly sweet, slight aroma chemicals, designery mid, nice slight powder tonka bean, dry down. That's about all there is to this fragrance. The name, I don't like it. I don't like Tom Ford's names. I think they're, for these fragrances, I think they're kind of immature and just not good, especially the new names. I just don't think they're good. But yeah, is this one worth sampling? Probably not. Like, it combines a lot of modern elements in this fragrance in one, but there's so many rose fragrances out there, designer like. There's so many rose patchoulis, which is the opening, and then with the dry down, I feel like you're better off trying some Celine fragrances. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a little too feminine for me, maybe, and I don't really care about feminine or masculine. You know, I wouldn't say it's too feminine, really. Not like, it's not like designer feminine so much, but it has some of that in there, which just gets boring to me. I would say that's it. Like, I'm not a fan of the designery feminine for the most part, for the majority of them. Just like I'm not a fan of the designery men's at the moment. They all smell the same. The opening with this, like I said, decent, but been done before. And same thing with the dry down, decent, but there's better out there. And the mid's just kind of boring to me. And that's about all I can say with this fragrance. Yeah, I see it's kind of popular on Fragrantica compared to the other Tom Ford Rose fragrances. I don't really know what people think about this. I haven't watched reviews or read too many reviews. But yeah, if you like this or dislike it, let me know. I don't really have a strong opinion with this one.